start of it in old New York.
Let me start. Researching your story a little bit. I saw that you started MMA by taking cardio kickboxing classes at ATT.
Yes, correct. Dean Thomas used to have a gym, and it was just like a small ATT affiliate gym in Port St. Lucie. And I started training there, and it was me when I was 16 years old and a bunch of like soccer moms in a cardio kickboxing class.
And then what in Port St. Lucie? So how did you go from just wanted to take classes you were just doing it to get in shape, I presume? Well, you were 16 years old, so you were in high school at the time.
Yeah, I was in high school at the time. I believe I was a sophomore. And I don't really know why I started, honestly. I wasn't ever really like necessarily interested in sports, so I don't think it was really to get in shape. It was just kind of like I wanted to try kickboxing. Like for some reason I had that in my head. And I started training at Dean's school, so he had like an MMA program there as well. And
Right.
one of my friends, he was a wrestler at high school, and he was like, "Oh, I'm doing the MMA program just like to get better at wrestling." He's like, "Why don't you come try it?" So I tried it one day, and then I just guess like I kind of fell in.
So you went from the kickboxing to the wrestling, and you recently became the all-time leader in submissions in the female divisions of the UFC. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I
And
worded that right.
yeah, they just after my last fight, I was able to beat Ronda Rousey's record for the most submissions in female UFC history. So just to be in the ranks with her is absolutely mind blowing to me.
Did she influence you at all when you first started? Did like looking at how big of a figure she was be like, this is pretty cool. Maybe I could
She was
break her
definitely.
record one day.
I guess I never really looked at it like that before, but literally there was a post that came up on my Facebook memories like 2 or 3 days ago from when I was an amateur, and I had pictures of me doing like 3 arm bars in 3 of my amateur fights, and there was a picture of Ronda Rousey, and she was hanging arms up on the wall, and it said like with all the names on them, and I was like, I want a collection like hers one day.
That's awesome. And just, how did you get involved with? So how did you fell in love with jujitsu? I guess just getting the reps in and everything. Because you started as like wanting to take kickboxing,
Yeah,
and now you're the submission record holder.
I feel like when I started jujitsu, it just kind of clicked with me. Like it just came more natural to me than striking ever did. So once I really started dedicating time to it, that's the only way to just. It was like I was just good at it. Where striking isn't necessarily my forte. Still, it's like I try my hardest, but I'll pick up things faster in jujitsu. Well, anything quicker in jujitsu than I would striking.
Okay, you always have like a great attitude too. You're always smile. It's the savage smiler is like what maybe your nickname should turn into, because you're after you had the broke the record for finishes. You're in the post fight interview and you're like, yeah, I just wanted to be she said I was like a blanket, so I just wanted to smother her so she couldn't breathe. So
Oh, after my first amateur fight, that's kind of how I got the nickname the Savage. Just my coach, he wrote an email to my whole team, and he was like, "She's as quiet as a mouse, but when she walks in the cage, she turns into a savage." And yes, I've had that. Like it just kind of caught on after that, and I've had that nickname since I was 18.
so your first amateur fight was at 18 years old.
Yes, correct. I started training when I was 16, and then Florida's commission doesn't let you fight until you're 18, so I had to wait 2 years.
Oh, but real quick, happy Canada Day.
Oh, thank
So
you very much.
you're from Canada. What brought you to the States to begin with?
Oh, my parents. I was too young back. I think
Right.
I was like, yeah, I was like 7 when we moved down here. So, I've just like my grandparents still live up there, and it's always still home to me. I go back and visit all the time, but I've been Florida raised.
Okay. And so you're in Florida since you were 7.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then you start doing the training, start doing the cardio kickboxing, which turns into the MMA classes, which turns into an amateur career. And how long were you fighting amateur before you turned pro?
I was an amateur for only 2 years. I had 11 fights in 2 years as an amateur.
So you were 20 when you turned professional,
Yes, correct.
if I'm doing the math right, which I'm
Yeah.
probably I'll mess it up, but because it's small amount of years, I could probably get it right. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you had 4 fights, right, before you went into Tough?
Five. I was 3-2 as a professional before I got signed to Tough.
Okay. One of those fights was against Cynthia Calvillo.
Yes, correct. I was literally I was working at the Humane Society at the time, and I remember I was sitting there cleaning kennels, and I just got a text, and it was from Global Knockout out in California, and they're like, "Hey, I know it's short notice. It was Monday, and they're like, do you want to fight Cynthia Gavillo this Saturday?" So it's 5 days notice for me, and I
Oh
was just like,
shit.
"Yeah, sure, let's do it." So I guess that's one I've always been salty about because it's all like right after she fought me, she fought Montana De La Rosa, then got signed to the UFC and just started getting submission after submission. And I was like, I took her to a decision on 5 days' notice. Like, imagine on a full camp. So I'm always ready for that rematch whenever she wants it.
Well, yeah, that'd be a nice yeah, so I know you're waiting for a top 15 opponent.
Oh, correct.
And she's
Um,
just what is she at right now? Because she just beat
she
Jessica I.
jumped the ranks.
She
So
jumped. She wasn't even ranked at flyweight, right? And then she
no, she missed weight twice at straw weight and then came
right.
up to flyweight and got the number 2 rank or number 1 ranked girl somehow.
Yeah, no, things like that drive me crazy because you're like, and then Jessica I missed weight too in her last bout. Well, she missed this one, and she missed the one before that, so they both got rewarded with a main event.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, 5 days before I fought Courtney Casey, she
Hmm.
was ranked number 15, and the UFC randomly decided to change the rankings right before we fought. So I thought I beat the number 15 girl, and I got ranked, but I didn't. So I don't understand how any of it works.
I think everybody complained. There's a lot of rankings online. The UFC's rankings are probably the most inaccurate ones, or just random. I don't know how they do it, but
Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
most the third party websites or whatever, they have you in the top 15 now. So I know it
Well,
doesn't. I
that's
know
good.
that's not like the UFC's rankings, but so what do you looking to do now? Who you looking to? I know I don't think you called anybody out if I'm not mistaken, but you won't. But you're looking to get a number next to your name.
Well, I currently have a matchup coming up at Submission Underground
Sorry,
July 12th.
I have that written down. I want to say that.
So I'll be competing against Amanda Lowen, who's a black belt in Oregon. She's one of the 10th Planets black belts, so they're a little bit trickier style to deal with. So I'm excited for that matchup. And then we were talking to Mick. He said hopefully for September he's looking for someone for me. And so I just started looking at the rankings, thinking about who I wanted. And I believe Molly McCann's 15, which I've already beaten her, so I'm not really interested in that one.
Which makes sense that
14
she's ranked and you're not.
14 is Jiyeon Kim, who's about to fight Alexa Grasso for her 25 debut. So I know she's already booked, but 13 and 12 are both available, and that is Antonina Shevchenko and
All
Montana
right,
De La Rosa. And I would love either one of them across the cage for me.
that's right. Antonina, she had a chance to jump the rankings too. 'Cause she was like 11. She was fighting one. Is that right? Or two?
Uh, yeah,
Chukagian?
yeah, when she fought Chukagan, but the way that Chukagan was just able, like, she took her down with ease and then just manhandled her on the ground. And my
Right.
jujitsu, I know, is next level, so I know that that would be a quick fight for me.
Well, of course, you got the record and everything. H- How long before you think you could be challenging the other Shevchenko, the boogie woman of the division?
I've always said, I don't know why, in my head, 27's my year. So I'm like, I think
27.
that's a good time frame for me to build up. Like, I want to climb through the ranks. I don't want to be like Cynthia and just jump to number 1. I want to work my way through all these girls. So I want to, like, that's going to take a couple fights. So I'm expecting probably, like, I'd say at least 5 or 6 more fights before I'm up there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you had when you you get to a certain point where you like you plateau, but then the higher level of competition, you could continue to grow. And you're just 25, which is being ranked at 20. It's crazy. So you're not even at your prime yet. Yet, you're continuing to improve. You continue to get better in every fight, which is really cool. It's really cool. It's really cool to watch.
Oh, thank you so much.
So, you had the submission records. You had the fight. What's it like before you step out? Because a lot of people talk about you don't know what it's like to take that walk. I hear that a lot of time when I listen to DC talk to Ariel Helwani. Um, that walk. Is there anxiety? What's going through your head? How are you overcoming locking
I
yourself in
guess
a cage with somebody?
the worst part for me really is before the walk, honestly. It's like when you're in the back locker room and you have to sit there and think about it. You have like they have a little like TV monitor for you there and you can sit there and watch all the fights go on as you're sitting back there. So it's like you're thinking to yourself, I have to go do that. Like I have to go walk out in that cage. And it's just really like for me, I love doing this. I love fighting more than anything. It's the crowd. It's the so definitely fighting in the Apex this time made
Oh,
a
right, no
huge
crowd.
uh, I feel like generally more socially awkward, like socially anxious. So it's like that makes a huge difference even like walking out there and there's so many people, But I feel like once you make the walk, it's just kind of tunnel vision. Like none of that matters anymore. You just go out there and you know what you're there to do and you have a job to do and you get it done. So it's easy once you make the walk, but it's the sitting in the back locker room just thinking about it. I feel like that's the worst part.
It's the anticipation, all that. You just have like too much time to think about it. Like you're obviously getting prepared, but you also your mind is doing what your mind does and not shutting up.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then it's like you just gotta be. Justin Gaethje talks about it a lot, and he inspires me a lot with this. Where he's like, you gotta be content with death. You gotta be
Yeah.
prepared to go out
Oh,
there to
okay.
die, and
That's
just
easy.
put it
That's
all on the
nice.
line.
That's nice to say. Yeah, he says he just doesn't care.
Yeah, it shows in his fights that he
Yeah,
goes out
I
there and he
know.
performs.
Yeah, yeah, he's a wild. When you hear him say that and have that mindset, then you hear people like Cowboy that are like they know they are very open with how much the moment could get to them with things. And he said it happened with him with the Connor fight a few months ago.
Yeah, but that's why I also like Cowboy freezes because he thinks like that. Where Gaethje's
Hmm.
gonna be put in star moments, and he's gonna just embrace those moments because he loves being uncomfortable. He loves putting himself in, like he loves dragging the other person deeper and seeing who could go deeper. That's why he was saying with Tony Ferguson it would be a tough matchup because they're both content with going to that dark place, and
Yeah,
it's like you got to be as a fighter.
that was tough. That was tough to watch, and it sucks. It was driving. I like Tony Ferguson. He's like one of my favorite. I haven't gone because I'm out of state right now, but 10th Planet I train at. So, but I'll still be rooting for you though. No worries. Um, but watching him get 12 wins in a row, just like fuck, it's unheard of. But Gaethje deserves it, so it's like it's hard. It makes you very torn. A fight like that it just sucks because they both deserve title shots. The guy who's won the interim title got stripped and then was fighting for it again. So I don't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, it's rough to see that for Tony because just the Tony Khabib matchup has always had to happen, and then it's not
I
gonna
know
happen.
5 times. I thought
So that's definitely
if there was a time when it would have happened, it would have been during a global pandemic with nobody in the crowd.
oh yeah, no, it's absolutely insane that it did happen like this. But I honestly think Gaethje might be the answer for Khabib.
I don't know. Yeah, but Khabib is just like I can't ever. It's just hard imagining him losing like at all. He's lost one round, and then the round against Connor, the third round, and then he ended up finishing him in the next round. That's the only rounds we scored against him.
But Gaethje's got a high level
I know.
wrestling.
I'm
He
not
just
saying.
doesn't
I
use
know.
it.
I know. I'm not counting Gaethje out, but I'm not.
Yeah.
People like I'll make picks, but most of the time I don't make picks just because I just want to watch. I don't want to like. It's hard because it's hard, and it's something that you got to respect with what you all do going in there. Some people talk about doing all the time. It's easy, getting in your college days or whatever, going to a bar, having some drinks, getting rowdy. But to prepare yourself to fight the absolute elite athletes in it, and locking
It
yourself
takes a
in there with
special
them,
kind of crazy.
it takes a special kind of crazy. And apparently, you got that kind of crazy. So look out. She's quiet as a mouse, but savage will elbow the shit out of you. Break your arm.
I'll be smiling after them.
Yeah, yeah. That's the savage part. Smiling after you snap somebody's arm. Um, so what's camp typically look like for you? Like a typical fight camp?
I guess I live in camp. I'm never out of camp. Like fight camp for me is, every single day I'm training twice a day, and I'm working with my coach Dean Thomas, and he like recently we both have left ATT, so we've been doing kind of our own thing where it's just been me and him, and then he's been bringing training partners in for me, or he's been having he's working with just like a small group of fighters. So it's like me, Hannah Goldie, Jose Shorty Torres, and just a couple others that he's really pouring his time into. So we're getting one-on-one attention with one of the best coaches in the world every single day. And yeah, I guess when I'm in camp, the only difference is it's more tailored towards that opponent. So we'll watch her a little bit more, study her more, do a lot of film study on myself as well and what I can improve through the year, and then it just tailor it more to that one person. But other than that, like I train year round. I'm in camp year round, so I'm ready to fight whenever.
Okay, so that makes sense because I wrote down about facing different types of opponents, how you would prepare for them differently based on that. Because I guess that makes sense. You're always training, but you're kind of altering your game plan according to who you're facing off against.
Yeah, we're just usually focused on my strengths like throughout the year. So we're just making me better as a fighter, well rounded, and then whenever we get the opponent, we'll just like tailor minor things on what we need to look out for.
What's the weight? How does the weight cut usually go for you?
It sucks.
Sucks.
No matter what, I don't think weight cut's ever fun for anybody. Like, I'm usually walking in like depends the weight cut. I'd say between 34 and 37 week of the fight when I have to be 25. So
Okay.
usually like 9 to 12 pounds that I have to lose that week, and it's just never a fun venture. I like food.
What when you're in prior to the week of the fight camp, are you tailoring your weight down just to get to 135, 137?
Yeah, I generally walk around like 145 ish. So I'll start
Man,
just
20 pounds. That's crazy. I mean, this shit is just crazy. Sorry.
yeah. It's like I start eating healthy though, and I can usually keep my weight a little bit lower. And like I can usually drop weight pretty fast once I start eating healthy, and then it's just really the last like 5 to 10 pounds that you got to sweat out. That it's just never fun. Like you have just working it off, and then weigh-ins for the UFC are at 9 a.m. So you have to go to sleep thirsty, and that's probably the worst. Like
It's not
it's just that
healthy.
night. It's the night before weigh-ins that'll kill you.
So when you decide to eat healthy, so you don't eat healthy year round.
And I try my hardest.
So what? So right now you're off camp. You're looking at September-ish. What does your diet look like for until you're starting to ramp up for camp?
I try to do like 80/20, so like 80% healthy and then 20% of whatever I want. So, yeah, whatever I want would be a lot of pizza and ice cream. I love ice cream. Um, I don't, food is my friend.
So it's just like all just the regular food that people splurge
Yeah,
on is
yeah.
pizza, pizza and ice cream.
Dean was telling me yesterday that like it's only been a week since my fight, but he was telling me I needed to calm down on what I was eating. He was like, "You're looking a little big." I'm like, any other profession that wouldn't be okay to say that to a woman, but fighting that's the only time.
Right. That's right. And then I guess I noticed on your Instagram you seem to have I don't know where you were training, but it sounds like what you were just talking about. There's a select few of you training in like a contained area. Is that because gyms are closed, or is that just how you guys are approaching it right now because of all this
Um,
COVID nonsense?
it was a little bit of both, I guess, at the beginning. What at COVID, with the beginning of COVID, we were just trying to quarantine a little bit, and then Dean ended up leaving American Top Team where I was training full time at the beginning of the year. So I ended up following him up to Port St. Lucie. So he rented a house and matted up some garage, like his garage, and that's just where we've been training.
Okay. And do you feel like you're getting more experience, more, is it like the same? Are you just doing like, is there any weight training?
I'm not a big fan of weight training in general. I've never really done weight training, like through my whole career. I've never been a big fan of like strength and conditioning, but we just do a lot of technical work every single day. So it's like either wrestling, striking, or jujitsu. And because it's just like me and him, or me, him, and Shorty, or me, him, and Hannah Goldie, we're getting so much one-on-one attention. I've seen myself excel so much in these last few months.
You feel the improvement, you feel the growth.
Oh, 100%. I feel like I'm a different fighter like I can actually see myself getting better now, where sometimes obviously American Top Team has the great amount of training partners, but if you keep on making the same mistakes, you don't have a coach watching over you constantly, then you're never really going to get better, where I have him now constantly correcting me, ensuring that I'm doing the drilling right, and then ensuring that I get my reps in, because he's there for me every day, twice a day, to make sure I get my work in.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so you could see the adjustments make on the spot changes. You get the real time you need to, hit that next plateau, whatever it is.
Oh yeah, and sometimes it's like you don't know the mistakes you're making. So I could think I'm doing something right, but he has that outside eye and that coach's eye that can just pick it apart and really break down my techniques.
Is he gonna be there or where is this Submission Underground fight taking place? Not
It
fight,
is
but
in Portland, Oregon.
yeah, the Sunshine State. Just kidding.
I didn't know that at first.
You sound thrilled about it.
It's just a long flight. That's the only thing. I haven't got my plane ticket yet, but if I have only one stop, then it's an 8-hour flight, and I'm not looking forward to that.
You have like straight through?
Yeah,
It's an 8-hour flight?
yeah.
Shit, that sucks. How many days before you're gonna get there?
I I believe I'm gonna be there for 2 days, so it'll just be 8 hours there, and then 2 days later, 8 hours back. I'm just not a huge fan of traveling. I'm excited to compete. I'm just not a huge fan of the 8-hour flight.
Are they gonna test you for corona and everything when you get there?
I believe so, yes.
Um, what was I gonna say here? The because you're entering different time zone too. You're going 3 hours back. Is there an adjustment period that your body's gonna have to make? Because I don't know where your opponent is coming from either. Is she having to fly in as well, or
Oh no, she's from Oregon, so
okay? So
yeah, she
she's used
doesn't.
to that time schedule and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think it necessarily makes too much of a difference unless like it's like when I fought in Liverpool, when I fought in Prague, I definitely noticed it. But like going to Vegas to fight there, that's the 3-hour time difference, and I don't feel like it makes too big of a difference for me.
Okay, so no crazy changes that you're gonna make.
No,
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good to me. Did you compete in sports at all before?
no, I never played it. Like my parents put me in soccer when I think I was like
You,
3 or
you look
something.
annoyed just saying that.
My whole family is soccer players, and I'm just not that. But I wouldn't necessarily call myself an athlete. Like I'm not athletic, but I'm good technically. Like I'm not fast and I'm not strong, but I'm good technically in jujitsu. So that's why I win fights. I outsmart a lot of my opponents. But so it's like anything that takes like agility or coordination. I don't know. It's not my forte. And so I remember they put me in soccer. I had to be like 4 or 5 years old, and I sat in the middle of the field and I picked flowers instead. And then they tried again when I was older, and I think I lasted like 2 or 3 practices, then I quit. And besides that, all I did was volunteer with animals.
That's great. I love dogs. I saw you post your dog. Your dog is an Instagram. Is that right? I'm making that up.
Yes.
Okay.
You can follow Rob the Dog 772. That's
Ro-
my pit bull, my baby.
That's great. Yeah, I have a pit bull too. Pit bull mix. It's a great dog. This
Yeah.
is good. God bless you for doing that with your time too. Were you at ATT during the Colby Covington drama?
Yes, but it's like it's such a big gym. It's so easy to it's easy to
Okay.
stay out of drama. You know, I go in there and I get my work in, and uh, we had a good girls team, so it's like 10 to 15 girls. So it's like you can stay out of the way of the big boys.
Okay. Yeah. Amanda Nunes is there. With Joanna.
Yeah,
Uh,
Amanda, Nina, her
right.
girlfriend, and then Joanna, Valerie Lareda. She
Okay.
just made her UFC debut. Maria Agpova, she's there.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a good group. What's Marina Moroz, Romero Barella, all UFC girls, all high level girls.
Okay. Yeah. So you would not no shortage for
Oh
training
yeah,
partners.
yeah. There was yeah. So it's like it's easy to stay away from the drama.
Okay. This is that you hear about people talking about it, and it seems like the gym's in turmoil because of it. But if realistically, it's not as big. It's never as big as what it's made out to be.
Oh yeah, they have tons of high level fighters there. So it's
Right.
like it's not like I don't know. Fighters come and go all the time. It happens.
Um. So when you're when you left, do you have like a full team that's helping you prepare now? How does the team work? How do you pick who's going to corner you? How does that stuff all unfold?
Well, honestly, like all through the UFC, I've usually only had one corner with me, and that's Dean Thomas. He's the like even when I was at ATT, he was the only coach that I'd really work with. And near the end, I started working with Di Davis and King Mo a little bit more. But Dean Thomas was really the only coach who was doing one-on-ones with me constantly the whole time I was at ATT. So it's like it's still I'm it's like that one-on-one attention from him is what's building me into the fighter that I am.
Okay. I guess it's an easy transition then, with
Oh
just going to
yeah,
work with him. He knows you the best anyway. Did you see Mike Perry, his corner?
yeah.
So what did you think
But
of that?
I feel like whatever, like no matter what, whatever makes you comfortable as a fighter, that's what you should do. If that's what's gonna like, I feel like obviously he should have a coach through camp like through his training process. It's important to have a coach to help yourself improve. But like when you make the walk for the fight, it's like if I told Dean I didn't want him to come out, I wanted somebody else out there, he'd be like, all right, cool. Like he wants what's gonna make me comfortable and what's gonna make me perform best out there. And if that's what it is for Mike Perry, then like go for it. You know, it's at the end of the day, it your corner does help, but they're not gonna make you win or lose a fight. Like you're gonna do that yourself.
I heard I forgot who I was listening to, but they said that he kind of hacked the system because right now there's no crowd and you could hear everything the commentators are saying. And I don't know who was announcing the fight, but they said he was listening to Bisping, if it was Bisping and Felder maybe. So he was getting coaching because like when Greg Hardy fought, he's at ATT too. He um he said he overheard DC saying to check the leg kicks or something.
Yeah, I heard them say that too, but honestly, like when I fought in Apex, I didn't hear like I remember hearing in between rounds, I heard John Anik say like a Modelo like intro
Oh
thing,
my God, those Modelos! I never get tired of those.
but that was the only thing that like I heard from the commentators during the fight. I had Michael Bisping and Dominic Cruz commentating. I never heard a thing they said during the whole fight.
Oh, okay. Do you have a hard out right now?
What?
Do you have a hard out like time?
Um, I have another interview coming up in like 15 minutes.
Okay. I just want to make sure because it looked like you were getting like text or something. So I'll just
Um, No, my phone is about to die, so I just had to put it on the
Oh, all
charger.
right.
I had to change the angle there.
Okay. Um. So, so you said, is there any besides like Ronda Rousey? Is there anybody that you kind of like looked at to pattern your? Like, I don't even know if Ronda was a helped you pattern your style, but is there anybody that you looked at growing up, or not even growing up when you first started training, that you thought that helped influence you to become the type of fighter that you are now?
I guess there's fighters who their their mindset has influenced me, but no fighter's style has necessarily influenced me. Like I feel like I've created my own style, and it like obviously Dean has helped me, but it's based on things I like to do, and then he's just helped like pick it apart and make it better. So yeah, I feel like I've created my own style, but just people's mindsets. Like Amanda Nunes, I feel like is I look up to her more than anything else. Like I feel like she's the true picture of what a champ should be. Like she's an absolute dominant champ, the most humble and nicest person.
Right.
Like I look up to her more than anything. Or like I said with Justin Gaethje, like just his mindset walking in the cage. Like I aspire to be like that.
Great. I want to give you a little bit of a break before your next. I should have asked this before we started, but I want to give you a little bit of a. I don't want to run you up until your next interview.
No worries.
Um, where can we watch the Submission Underground fight? Not fight,
Uh,
match.
it'll be on UFC Fight Pass.
Okay. And it's July 12th?
Yes, July 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. That's a Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. And if people want to keep up with you, where would they go?
If you want to follow me at savage_UFC on Twitter and Instagram.
It's savage_UFC. The Savage Smiler is Okay, great. If you have any advice to anybody that wants to start training or better themselves physically, what would you do? And then we could leave it at that.
I would say that there's like especially with jujitsu for me, I guess there's no better confidence builder to know what you're capable of, and like it's something that I don't know, it's really changed my life for me. Just embracing jujitsu and going into it, and you really get to test yourself every single day, putting yourself in hard situations, and it's it makes you a better person no matter what. So I'd just say go ahead and try it.
Beautiful. Yeah, and if you lose, you'll get humbled.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's the best part.
all right. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure talking to you.